Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited you're here. We are going to walk through the Consultant Action Plan Workshop. My name is Lisa Hufford, and I wrote a book called Work Your Way. And the purpose of that book is to show professionals that consulting is a viable career option, and you have everything you need to make it happen. So whether you're coming to this workshop today already have been a consultant, or you're thinking about it, you're thinking about taking your corporate experience, how to translate it, and understand really what consulting means. I hope you take away whatever it is you need today, whether it's information, some inspiration, some ideas, because really this is all about expanding options for choosing the way that you want to work. So this is going to be a lot of information as an overview, and then there's going to be lots of times to get your questions answered. So grab a pen and paper and let's get started. Our goal today is to answer your questions, whatever questions you might have on your mind, from what's the best way to find new clients? Is there any advice for seasoned professionals that have been out of the workforce for a while and they want to return to work, to come back? What questions did you ask yourself when you were evaluating if consulting was right for you? That's a question I receive a lot. How do I scope and price a project? Should I start my own business or work through a consultancy? And how do I translate my corporate experience to consulting? There's a lot of different scenarios here, and maybe you see yourself in one of these, or you have some other questions that you want to get answered. But today is all about making sure you get what you need. So we're going to walk through 3 phases of this presentation. The first is a brief overview of understanding what is consulting in this new world of work. Then we're going to move on to building your foundation and activating your network. So let's get started with understanding consulting. As Wayne Dyer says, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And for me, when I decided to transition from corporate to consultant back in 2006, flexibility was really my motivation. I had a great corporate job. I loved it. I led big sales teams, but I found myself with 2 young children needing a little more flexibility. And I wanted to be able to do the work I wanted to do to support other people, but do it kind of on my terms. And kind of launching into this whole consulting career really showed me another way to work. It's not necessarily better or worse, it's just different. And I found not only could I have the flexibility to do the work that I liked, but it provided a lot of variety. I got access to different kinds of projects than if I was a traditional full-time employee. And then I really enjoyed showing people, and that's really how this presentation came about, showing others in similar situations that this is really a viable career option. But people come to consulting or contracting or freelancing, whatever you want to call it, for a whole variety of reasons. Some people really want to do meaningful work. They want to be able to select the work they want to do with the clients they want. They want to make an impact, whatever that looks like for them. Some people have looked at consulting as a stopgap if they've been caught up in a layoff. I have many consultants who thought, well, I'll just pick up a project while I'm looking for a quote real job. And for some of them, it's been many, many years, and they've developed these thriving consulting careers and kind of stumbling into realizing this is a great option for them. Some come into consulting and then pick up skills and then go back into the corporate world. I've seen people come back and forth between the two. And I think that's kind of a statement of really where we are in this new world of work. Is we as professionals have a lot of options, a lot more options than we've ever had. And so understanding where you are in your life and what's most important to you right now, and really what kind of work is going to fit into your life. Parenthood's a big one for many women in particular. This was my story. I needed to find that balance. Choosing to do the work. This is one we've seen really increase over the years. As a consultant, we really look at strategic consultants, at what we call strategic doers. Most of our clients really want someone who has expertise. They're going to come in and roll up their sleeves and do the work, not just kind of oversee it. There are some strategy projects, of course, but a lot of times there's an element of doing. And so really, if you're someone who likes to do the work, whatever that looks like, consulting is a really great option for you. And then, of course, variety. As a consultant, one of the benefits is you really get to choose who you want to work with, what kind of work you want to do, whether it's startup or big business or B2B or B2C or specific industries. You get to choose the variety of what you really want. And on the flip side of consulting, I'd say there's definitely challenges. And it's important to walk into this if you're new to consulting, just to be aware and manage to these challenges. Like anything, there's pros and cons. So the first one I'd say is there's absolutely an unstable perception around consulting. You are working on a contract basis. Those contracts can get cut. And it's really about being planful. And we're going to talk about building your foundation and continuing to keep your network so that you can keep your pipeline of projects moving forward if that's what you choose. Some consultants like a break. They want to take a break between projects, and that's perfectly acceptable too. So you get to choose how you want to manage. But there really is no guarantee. There's really no guarantee with full-time employment either. I think we've definitely seen that with layoffs as well. So I think the most important thing, whichever way people are working, is that they really understand the value they're contributing and they're able to articulate that. We're going to get into that more in just a minute. Another common challenge with consulting, many people have said over the years, is it can feel a little isolating because you're really working on your own. So you can have that flexibility, which is great. But the flip side of that is it can feel a little lonely. While you're supporting a team, you're really not part of that team in a traditional sense. So kind of knowing yourself and knowing what preference you might choose from a work style standpoint. Also, you might not receive consistent feedback or training as you do in a traditional job. This is something you can remedy by really taking it on yourself and doing LinkedIn Learning. There's so many different ways to learn, to grow, listen to podcasts, read books, but it really is about being proactive with whatever your own learning style is. Also, you being proactive about requesting feedback. How am I doing? So you're constantly improving from clients and the people you're working with. There's a lack of a career path. No one's sitting down with you and saying, this is exactly where you're going to go, and here's how you're going to get there. But the flip side is you get to define that path. And if you want to continue to do more work like what you're doing, great. If you want to expand and grow a new skill set, great, you could do that too. So you get to really define your career path, whether that be full-time work, part-time work, one project, multiple projects. So you can really scale bigger or smaller with wherever you are really in your life. And then benefits, limited or no benefits. This is a really big challenge for many freelancers, I'd say in particular, that are out there working on their own. We here at Simplicity find that offering premium benefits is an absolute advantage and a differentiator. So look for different opportunities of benefits, health benefits, and coverage is something that's important to you. You can work as a consultant through companies that do offer benefits, and every company has a different go-to-market. More on that in just a minute. So now we're going to move on to building your foundation. As Oscar Wilde says, be yourself, everyone else is already taken. This is truly about uncovering and really igniting your personal brand. Your personal brand is your combination of your strengths and your passions. It's those things that are really easy for you to do, effortless for you to do. You've probably been doing them your whole career. Maybe you've overlooked how easy it is for you. I've had some people say to me over the years, I'm a really good writer. It comes naturally to me. And maybe they don't really think about promoting it as a strength, but it's absolutely a strength. If you're someone that's really organized, a project manager, that's an absolute strength. And then if you love it and you can combine the things that you really are really good at with that you also really love to do them, to me, that's really the start and the basis of your personal brand and gives you an indication of the work you want to do. So building your foundation is really about understanding yourself. Just like the roots of a tree, before a tree can really grow and be healthy, it has to have a very solid root structure. So I think a lot about these foundational questions and elements about getting to the root of where we each are right now in our lives. So if you've done some of this work, that's great. You can move on to activating your network. If you haven't and you're really for the first time, maybe ever in a really long time, really sitting with all your years of experience and saying, gosh, what is it that I want to do right now? I'd really encourage you to take some time with these questions. There's the 5 questions when I teach a personal brand workshop. We're going to go over very high level. If you want to see it in more detail, you can check out Simplicity website where I've got a whole hour where I walk through the personal brand workshop. But at a very high level, these questions will help you identify the words that are important to you and how you want to showcase your professional success stories. So the first question is about being aware. Who do you admire and why? And most importantly, write down the attributes or the characteristics of who it is that you admire. Those words that you write down may be clues as to what the words are for yourself. We're typically attracted to people that we really admire. So thinking about raising your awareness of who are you attracted, why you attracted, are those words you want to say about yourself. Being unique is all about your strengths. So this is what's easy for you, what's effortless for you. Write all of that down. If you get stuck on this question, ask people who you've worked with. They will tell you what you're great at. I've never had anyone not be able to answer that question. And then the third question is about increasing your confidence. I talk so much about confidence because before you can really go out there and represent yourself, you've really got to believe it yourself. So the most powerful exercise you can do to build your confidence is about remembering your success stories. So thinking about your professional success stories, when you felt like you're on top of the world, you had a huge achievement. I'm sure you have many of these. I'm going to encourage you to think about one story, whichever the first one is that pops to your mind, no matter how big or small it was, just a moment in your career where you really felt you had tremendous success. And I'm going to encourage you to sit quietly with yourself and write it down. Put yourself back in that moment. What attributes were you demonstrating? What was the work you were doing? Because if you really tap into what it is that you did successfully and you start saying it, kind of going back and reliving it, you'll notice you're going to sit up a little taller and you're going to be confident because you're reminding yourself you've been successful before, so you can be successful again. And this story can really be the beginning of what you're going to create around your authentic words and how you're going to go out and represent yourself to the world. So this is a very powerful exercise, unlocking your professional success stories. And ideally, if you can get 3 stories and really be able to say them in a very short way, that really does help you kind of show up. That helps you show up in a really positive and kind of a confidence leaning forward in any kind of an interview or conversation with someone. So the fourth is around being teachable. What's the one thing you're going to do to build your skills? So this is about continuing to building on your brand, never sitting back. So if it's something you're passionate about, what are you doing to improve it? What are you reading? What kind of mentors are you seeking out? What kind of conferences are you attending? Always really being on that cutting edge of learning and developing and being really current and marketable with your brand. And then the last question is about being kind to yourself, because we all have very loud inner critics. And oftentimes when we're doing this personal brand work, that inner critic might pop up and say things like, I'm not sure who you think you are to be doing things like this. Can you really go out there and do that kind of work? And I'm just going to invite you to just recognize your inner critic and don't listen to it because really you can. And this is back to the success stories. If you can really articulate your stories and that's your evidence, then that kind of quiets down that inner critic to say, yes, I've done these things before and I can do them again. So building your personal brand statement is about blending your what and your why. Your what tends to be your title, what you do, and that's usually what most people just say. But I'm really going to encourage you to think about your why. Why do you do what you do? What's your motivation? And maybe even lead with that. So your why usually is something really that's meaningful to you. So keep asking yourself, why do I do the work that I do? And it's kind of like peeling back an onion. You'll get kind of to the heart of it. And when you kind of feel it in your chest or in your gut, I know there's certain words for me, when I say them out loud, I'm like, yeah, that's a really resonant word for me. That's how you know you're really getting to your authentic words and your true why. So whatever those words are for you are the right words. And I'm going to encourage you to continue to experiment with your brand. So as we move on to building your overall foundation, you've got your personal brand. So now you kind of know, yeah, who I am, what's the work that I love to do, what are my strengths and passions, what do I want to do now for the next couple of years? For those of you with many years of work experience, I hear this all the time. You're like, how do I narrow it down, Lisa? And I'm going to encourage you just to think about your life right now, maybe just in the next 1 to 2 years. And thinking about of everything you've done before, what is it that really lights you up, that makes you so excited that you would just love to do that for the next couple of years? You don't have to figure it out for the rest of your life. Everything's continuing to change and evolve. But for right now, what would that ideal kind of project look like, where you can really tap your professional success stories and your credibility? Then you're going to move on to however you choose to do it. So this is about identifying, do I want part-time work, full-time work? Do I want to be independent as a 1099 subcontractor, or do I want to work through an intermediary? Do I want to work through an agency, a consultancy, a staffing company? There's pros and cons with both approaches. Do I want to be an employee or a subcontractor? So thinking through kind of, do I want to be out on my own, going and filing my own taxes, setting up my own business, kind of going and finding the work and then doing the work and finding the work and doing the work? That's really kind of a model around an independent contractor expertise. Or do you want to work through an agency or consultancy that matches your values, where you have an opportunity to network? Maybe they have opportunities for other clients in addition to you. And then finding that right fit. Like I talked a little bit earlier, every company really has a different go-to-market and a different strategy. So kind of, we're going to talk a little bit more about finding that right fit for you with the right partner. An employee and subcontractor, typically this one comes down to whether you need benefits. Benefits is really the big one. And if you do need benefits, looking to be an employee through a consultancy or an agency that offers benefits or 401k match or PTO. You know, as an independent subcontractor, you are the company. So you typically don't have opportunities for those kind of traditional employee benefits. And then the other really important point around creating your ideal project is really thinking about who you want to work for. And this is one of the advantages of consulting, is you get to choose your clients. So thinking about your ideal client, what are those values? What is it that's really important to you? What companies do you admire that you want to support? And really, what's your pay range? It's important to have a really broad range. I really encourage people. Some people have a number they want to hit, and that's fine. But if you're open to work, I would encourage you to expand your range, and because you never know what opportunities might come your way. And sometimes while the pay is important, there's a lot of other intangibles that projects have where you might really find a lot of benefit. For example, maybe it's a specific group or company that you want to work with because you want to expand your network. That could be worth more than maybe the maximum pay you want to make for some people. Maybe it's really tapping into the kind of work you want to do, or you're changing kind of industries or focus. So you really kind of want to get your foot in the door in one area. So thinking about pay as one component of the things that you look at. But for many consultants I've seen over the years, they really kind of lean more towards picking projects based on the client. They really want to work for someone that really respects and values their expertise, and they really feel like they can help be successful. I think there's nothing better than knowing that you've really delivered so much value for an awesome client, and you help them achieve their goals and really succeed in what they want to accomplish with the business. I mean, that's really what consulting is all about, is being able to use your gifts, your skills and expertise to add value to others so that they can succeed. So that is a quick snapshot of the foundation. So once you've gone through all that and you really have a good core and you've gone and updated your resume and your LinkedIn and you have a very clear kind of overall brand about who you are, what's the work you want, who do you want to do it for, maybe you have some ideas. Now we get into activating your network. Now you're ready to get out there and really just plant some seeds and see what projects might exist. And you're going to learn a lot through this phase. This is your action phase. So as Henry Ford says, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. So it's really about being open to whatever might come your way and being really adaptable and flexible as you move into this phase, because you're going to walk in with some ideas and you're going to meet people and have lots of conversations, and it might shift one way or the other. So I like to call this phase planting the seeds or conversation starters. So one strategy that one of our awesome consultants shared with me that I love sharing with people is the A and the B list. So create these two lists. Your A list are people that you know and that you really like, you've worked with, you think that you can add a lot of value, your skill set, knowing what they're doing, you can really help them. And this really doesn't have to be a very long list at all. It can be a very short list, maybe just a handful of names. But it's people who share your values, people you kind of your go-tos, people that you would just love to work with as a consultant, support them to be successful. Your B list are people who you think are great clients, but you might not know them very well. There might be more acquaintances, but people you kind of work with, but you're like, you just really like them. You like what they're doing. You see they're very busy, and you in your skill set lends really well to whatever it is that they're doing. And you really feel like there might be an opportunity, you're not sure, but you think there might be an opportunity to add value to their organization. So what you're going to do and start with your A list is you're going to reach out individually, not in a broad scale, and you're going to be really authentic. And this is really important, that you're coming at the conversation as kind of really in an authentic way. You're not trying to sell anybody anything. You're being curious in conversations. You're asking questions about their goals, about their deliverables, and you're really looking for ways where you can add value and impact and help with your expertise, even if it's a really small project. So, here's some ideas, and, just make these your own, but here's some ways of kind of approaching people you might know to say, I want to let you know I'm taking on projects, doing whatever, like project management, communications, strategic communications, whatever your brand is, your expertise that you want to showcase. I'm just letting you know I'm taking on projects in case you hear of anyone needing my expertise. Thank you. So always with an attitude of gratitude, always thinking about, just kind of putting it out there. Again, planting the seed. You're not expecting anything. You're not asking for work directly. I know that might seem a little odd, but I'm not a big fan of asking for work directly. I'm more of like putting it out there. People that know you, know what you're capable of, are probably already thinking about you. And oftentimes when I give this advice to people, they immediately go out to their A network, and then they'll come back and say, oh my gosh, I already have a project, now what? Because typically the people on your A list are people you might have worked with that maybe didn't actually see you in this capacity. If you're new to consulting, they didn't know that they could have you really helping them be successful. And when they realize that, they're thinking, oh my gosh, this is great. I know you can do. Are you kidding? We've got so much work to do. That'd be awesome if you could take this project. Think about it. They don't have to worry about it. They know you're going to get it done for them. That's a huge relief. So that's really kind of the ideal scenario. Another approach could be to go to people in your network and say, I've always valued working with you and would be grateful if you could give me feedback on my LinkedIn profile. Thank you. So, this is where you're learning. You do want your feedback, especially if you're continuing to kind of build it out. But it's also a great way to just expose your expertise and your skills and remind people and just show them that, hey, you're out there looking for work. And, there's so many people right now that have offered to help, especially there's lots of people in transition. So this is a great question to go back to your network for those people that have said, anything I can do to help you, just say, hey, yeah, I'd love for you to just take a couple minutes and look at my LinkedIn profile and give me any feedback on it. And then if you hear of any opportunities, I'm really open to project work. Just, you know, plant the seed, right? So just, I think as long as you continue to do that, you never know where the seeds are going to grow. This is the thing. You just have to keep doing the work and keep having the conversations. Are going to lead to one, then another, and you're going to learn more. And eventually you're going to land on the work. Sometimes it happens really fast. Sometimes it takes a while, just like seeds. They can grow really fast or they can grow over time. So you can't control when that project's going to pop up because we don't know when that's going to happen, but we can control the conversations that we have and the words we're saying about ourselves and the work that we really can do and want to do. So that's what I'm going to encourage you to continue to do as you're thinking about this phase. You know, another approach to finding project work is working through an agency, a consultancy, a firm, whatever you want to call it. There's so many different titles out there. And as I mentioned earlier, there's lots of different business models. So this is where it's really important for you to do your research, maybe ask your peers, people that do work similar to you. Hey, do you like the company you work for? Why do you like them? You know, this is what's important to me. So this is kind of a list, I'd say, for you to get clear back to what do you want in an agency or a consultancy? Is it about the payment terms? Understand when they're going to pay you, how they're going to pay you, especially if you're a 1099 subcontractor. Are they going to pay you when they get paid? Are they going to pay you after so many days? There's a lot of nuances to understand that cash flow portion. Opportunities for continuous learning and development. Is this a place where you can grow and learn? Networking for like-minded individuals. Are there networking opportunities? Are there role expectations as far as what you have to do for that company? Do you have to bring in business, or can you just do your project? Do you have to manage your client, or is someone going to help you with that? Is there a non-compete or not? Is there any support managing your project, negotiating your rates? Do you even know what your rates are? Or is it completely separate? W-2 versus 1099, we talked a little about that too, and the pros and cons. So these are really important questions for you to ask. And again, every consultancy will have a different approach. And so asking, knowing what you want, and then getting clear in kind of your area of expertise. And it specifically, is it bigger? Is it smaller? Who do they work with? This will really help you and make sure you find the right match for you. At Simplicity, we have two models of ways that we work with consultants. We have what we call Simplicity Represented. This is the traditional matchmaking with our talent team. And then we have the self-represented model with consultants. So what I kind of just walked you through, many of our consultants, about half, find their own projects through their network. And they join our community because they're a marketing or communication, a project management professional. They like being around other experts. They like the continuous learning. They want the benefits, the 401k, the PTO. So many consultants will find their own projects, but they love bringing them to us because we'll manage all the back office for them, and they can just do the work that they love and be part of this amazing community of peers. So we offer, as it says on the bottom there, over for every employee, it's over 30 hours a week, a really rich benefit offering, and that's offered to all of our employees. Okay, so now we're going to move on to next steps. So if you're out there planting seeds and then you had come across a project and you want some help scoping it, pricing it, this is where we can really come alongside you. And we really love playing this role of coming in and working with you and the client to set you up for success. So the whole other section of my book, Work Your Way, is about delivering success and creating this flywheel to get referrals. We're not going to go into that today, but just know that once you get to this point of getting your contract, this is a really important point to make sure that you're delivering excellence and you're set up in the right way. So Cindy is on point on our team to really help make sure that you will be successful. If you'd like to be a candidate for future projects, make sure we have a current profile. You can go into simplicityci.com and under the consultants tab, fill out your information. Our talent team will see you, they'll call you, they'll learn what it is you love to do. And if you're in the market right now for work, you want to work like right now, I encourage you to take both approaches. put your name in our system so we can be looking for projects for you and activate your network, because we're just broadening the field. You just never know where that opportunity is going to come from. It might come from your network, it might come from our network. But here at Simplicity, you choose how to work with us in those two models. You can do both, you can do one or the other. We're really flexible and adaptable to you. So if you want to learn more about just consulting in general, we have so many great resources and videos at simplicityci.com. And of course, a ton of links and downloads at my website, lisahufford.com, and everything's in the book, Work Your Way. So with that, thank you so much. We're so excited that you're here and that hopefully you walked away with some great information that will help you really put your action plan into place. Thank you.